Good day and welcome to Mission Control Houston. Today with us is Paul Brower, the lead ICE officer in the control room working with a lot of the Dragon SpaceX activities on this mission. Why don't we start off with you explaining what an ICE is? What's the acronym mean, Paul?
Sure. So we're the integration systems engineer, and our job is basically to integrate with all of our visiting vehicle partners that come to the International Space Station on the U.S. segment. So my job is to kind of be in communication with those guys. I'm supposed to be the expert here in Houston on their vehicle systems and how they connect up to the International Space Station. So I kind of keep an eye on what their systems are doing and what our systems are doing, and make sure that we can all play well together in space, in orbit.
Okay. Now, we've all heard a lot about the visiting vehicle officer, and this is a little bit different from what they do. Can you compare those a little bit?
Sure. So the visiting vehicle officer, they're actually from our division here at NASA that's responsible for trajectory. So they do orbital mechanics and guidance, and they're basically looking at how the vehicle is approaching the space station, how it's coming in from a guidance perspective, and we're looking at all of the systems. So we're looking at the communications, we're looking at the power levels, we're looking at the propulsion system. So the VVO, Sean O'Rourke for this particular mission, and we work really closely together to make sure together that we understand how that spacecraft is working and that it's going to come safely to the space station.
Okay. Well, what specifically have been your big challenges of this mission?
There's there's been a few. The first time you fly a new vehicle, it's always challenging, right? You never know what you're going to expect, and we spend a lot of time with the SpaceX team, and we spend a lot of time here in Houston trying to prepare for whatever might come our way. But inevitably, what happens on orbit is never what you expect exactly, right? So we had a few challenges with this particular flight. We had some computers on the Dragon decide to lock up on us, and we were able to reboot them. We had some sensors go bad as we were flying, some sensors on some of the propulsion system, and we had to take care of that. And then we had some problems a little bit with some of the laser rangers and some of the thermal imagers that they use to figure out how far away they are from the space station as we were coming on the approach. And that was on the Dragon side. On the space station side, we actually had a couple problems with our GPS system on the space station right before their mission started. So we were a little bit worried. We actually replaced one of the GPSs on the space station. We had the crew go do that. But those locked up on us a couple times, and we actually use that GPS data. We send it over a radio link to Dragon, so that Dragon can kind of figure out where it is and where the space station is and fly to us. So it was definitely an interesting and challenging mission, but I think in the end we won against all of the demons coming after us. So
That's great. How's it been to work with the Dragon team?
it's been a really cool experience. I remember when I first started working with those guys about 3 years ago. We went out to lunch and we were telling them some of the stories that we've had of things we've had to deal with on the space station. We've had shuttle missions where we've had all the 5 Russian computers lock up, and we've had loss of attitude control, and we're trying to recover from all of that. And I remember watching the SpaceX guys, their eyes kind of getting wide as they're listening to all of the challenges that we've had to deal with in the past. And um, they've done a phenomenal job, coming in and having to deal with some of those same kind of things themselves on this mission. So I really think they did an excellent job working with us, getting contingency procedures ready, and just really calmly handling everything that happened on this flight to get us up to the space station. So
Usually communications about various issues, especially problem issues, are
yeah.
really crisp on the NASA side. Is it the same way working with the SpaceX folks?
Yes, I think maybe the only exception is, being their first flight, I could hear a lot more cheering in the background. But their team was the team that was actually flying the vehicle. I mean, very professional, very calm, and very crisp flying the mission. But you could hear in the background, they had almost their whole company, I think, standing behind the glass of mission control watching. And a lot of those engineers who had, poured 5, 6, 7 years of their lives into this mission, cheering loudly. So every time we were trying to get something done right at the very end at a big moment like the capture moment, you could hear those guys in the background, which was pretty exciting actually.
So have you had a chance to visit the SpaceX control room yourself?
Yeah, actually we went over there quite a few times as we were getting ready for this mission. We got to see sort of what they have it set up. But I was actually pretty amazed. We end up they designed their control center completely independently of us designing ours, but we kind of ended up with a lot of the same sorts of tools. We have plotting tools and mission control and things that monitor telemetry and give us little warnings if something's going wrong. And they end up with a lot of the same kinds of things in their control center as well.
they have come at things a little bit differently from some of the other visiting spacecraft and cargo vehicles we've dealt with in terms of the Japanese HTV and the European Space Agency's ATV. They've taken a unique approach in some of these. Can you pull out one of those and talk to us about an example of how those things differ?
Uh, yeah, I think probably one of the most interesting things about their team is I think here at NASA we have people who are sort of dedicated to mission control. They just do operations, and we have people dedicated to engineering. Their team has started out a lot smaller, and so a lot of their people were very much wearing many hats. Right? They had people who were running simulations who were also going to be mission controllers who were also designing and actually going out and helping manufacture pieces of hardware. And so I think that's one of the more interesting things that I've seen from a smaller startup company, that's a lot different from how we do business here. But of course, they're dealing with a smaller spacecraft and a newer company. So it's been pretty interesting.
Okay. Well, hey, tell us a little bit about yourself. Where are you from originally, and what was your path to get here to NASA?
So I'm from New Jersey, the great tiny state of New Jersey, and I went to Purdue University. I got a bachelor's degree in aerospace engineering, and I always wanted to work for NASA. I always wanted to be in mission control. So this is kind of a dream come true for me. When I was at Purdue, I did a bunch of space societies, and I did some experiments actually where we flew on the NASA zero gravity plane. I designed some experiments that we flew up there. So I got really involved in NASA early on. I did our co-op program here, and then came here to work in mission control.
That's great. And are there any special qualities that you and any ICE team member you feel brings to bear here in mission control? I mean, everybody there's a different set of skills for every position here. What's the thing that makes ICE people stand out?
I think most of the controllers here today, we've had the space station up for 10 years, and a lot of them have a pretty, I'd say, stable system in that it's not, we're not building up the space station much anymore. The ICE team has to deal with a lot newer stuff now than most of the other controllers who now have, got their procedures sort of matured over 10 years. And so we're dealing with a lot more uncertainty, which is a lot of what the space station was 10 years ago when it was first being built. But I think that's what makes us a little bit different today is that we have to be prepared a little bit more for the unknown, being that these are brand new spacecraft coming up for the first time, and you just never know what's going to happen.
You touched on earlier the level of excitement at SpaceX associated with this mission. Can you share a little bit of that from behind the scenes on how that's manifesting itself with your team?
Sure. You can watch the video from the caption. You can actually see me in the little corner, and my wife said my eyes lit up like I just won the lottery or was a little kid in the candy shop. Right. I'm cheering and clapping. A lot of us who've poured our hearts into this mission for 3 or 4 years, and certainly the SpaceX guys have done so 10 times more than we have here at NASA. It's really just it's a moment you can't even describe when you finally get to accomplishing such a difficult and challenging task that you've been working on for so many years, and to see it actually happen on orbit is just an indescribable feeling. I mean, that's the reason I love working here is to have that moment.
And this isn't the end of the new things. We've got another commercial spacecraft that's being readied for flight. That's going to be the Orbital Vehicle. Are you going to be working with those folks?
Yeah, I'm not personally assigned to that mission, but our assignments change a lot. I might be, but yeah, this is certainly just the beginning. We have the orbital folks coming online, and then hopefully down the road we're talking about commercial crew, and there may be other vehicles coming down the line. So this is hopefully the start of a very exciting era for NASA and for the commercial sector as well.
And of course, now that we've accomplished the first demonstration mission for SpaceX and Dragon, they've got a formal commercial resupply flight that's scheduled to happen later this year. Are you going to be working that one?
Yes, I'm assigned to be the lead on that one. We're already talking about getting our little planning meetings together to prepare for that mission. So yeah, it's going to be a busy year for my group for sure.
Great. Well, hey, Paul Brower, thank you so much for being here from the ICE console today in Mission Control. We really appreciate your help.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me.